long time ago, in a galaxy filled with smugglers, scoundrels, and dreamers, adventure was never more than a hyperspace jump away. Welcome to Star Wars Edge of the Empire, a tabletop role-playing game where you and your friends step into the lives of those who live beyond the reach of the Empire. Outlaws, explorers, bounty hunters, and exiles, people who live in the gray spaces between right and wrong. In this video, we'll guide you through every step of creating your first character, from your origins and abilities to your debts, dreams, and destiny. We'll build a hero ready to chart their course among the stars. So, grab your data pad, check your credits, and prepare to take your first steps towards the edge. Every story begins with an idea. This is your character concept. Before you touch a dice or write a number, take a moment to imagine who your character is and what drives them to the edge of civilization. Ask yourself, what do they want most? Are they chasing fortune, freedom, or perhaps redemption? What is their place in the galaxy? Are they a daring pilot, a clever mechanic, or a fugitive hiding from their past? And just as important, what kind of story do you want to tell through them? Your concept is the foundation of everything that follows. It gives context to your choices, depth to your abilities, and purpose to your journey. Because here, at the edge of the Empire, or edge of tomorrow, who you are matters far more than what you are. Once you have your concept, it's time to choose a species, the physical and the cultural lens through which your character experiences the galaxy. Each species comes with its own starting characteristics like brawn, agility, and presence, defining their natural strengths. You'll also gain your species' wound and strain thresholds, which determine how much punishment you can take before collapsing. And finally, every species has a unique special ability, something that sets them apart, such as a Wookiee's berserker strength or a droid's mechanical resilience. Choosing a species shapes not only your statistics, but also how your character fits in the broader Star Wars universe. Once you know your origins, it's time to define your profession, your career and specialization. This step sets the foundation for what your character does best and where their training lies. Your career represents your broad set of skills, your role in the galaxy. Each career grants access to 8 career skills, and from those, you'll choose 4 to begin with a free rank in. Then, your specialization refines that role even further, giving you a distinct flavor and talent tree to grow into. For example, a bounty hunter assassin is precise, patient, and deadly with every shot. A smuggler, pilot, thrives on high-speed chases and impossible escapes. A tactician, mechanic, can rebuild starship from spare parts and with a hydro spanner. Each specialization not only grants talents, but also defines how your story unfolds. A bounty hunter might face questions of morality and loyalty. A colonist might struggle with the weight of responsibility, and a hired gun might discover the price of survival in a galaxy without mercy. When you choose your career and specialization, you're not just deciding what you can do, you're deciding who you'll become as your story progresses. With your background established, it's time to define your characteristics, the 6 core attributes that measure your raw potential and shape everything your character can do in the galaxy. These are brawn, agility, intellect, cunning, willpower, and presence. Each one represents a fundamental aspect of your character's abilities. Brawn determines your physical strength, toughness, and melee capabilities. Agility covers condition, reflexes, and your aim with blasters or piloting ships. Intellect measures reasoning, education, and technical skill, ideal for mechanics and medics. Cunning represents street smarts, perception, and deception, perfect for smugglers and spies. Willpower governs your inner resilience, discipline, and ability to resist strain or fear. And presence captures your charm, confidence, and leadership, the stuff of diplomats and performers. Each species begins with a set base of values in these 6 areas, usually between 1 and 3. From there, you'll spend your starting experience points, or XP, to raise the ones that matter most to your concept. Here's where the strategy comes in. Every increase costs 10 times the new rating in XP. So what does this mean? If you're raising a characteristic from 2 to 3, it costs 30 XP. And from 3 to 4, it jumps up to 40 XP. That means the higher you go, the more it costs. And unlike skills or talents, you can't increase characteristics with XP after character creation, at least not without significant narrative rewards or special circumstances. So, it is wise to think early about what kind of hero you want to be. If you're playing a Trandoshan bounty hunter who relies on brute force, you'll want to invest heavily in brawn. Or, if you're a fast-talking smuggler, presence and cunning might be your top priorities. Again, if you're building a droid technician, intellect could be the key to your success. Your characteristics are the bedrock of your dice pools. They determine how many ability dice you roll during skill checks. In short, they define not just what you can do, but how naturally good you are at doing it. And since it's nearly impossible to improve them later, it's worth taking your time here. Think about your story, your strengths, and the kind of legend you want your character to become. Now that your skills and attributes are in place, it's time to give your character something every wanderer on the rim needs: gear, and a reason to care about what happens next. You'll start with a small number of credits, typically between 500 and 1,000 depending on your career. This represents your character's available funds at the beginning of their story, the gear they've managed to hold on to after a lifetime of close calls, deals, or disasters. With those credits, you'll choose your starting equipment: a basic blaster, maybe a vibro knife, a comlink, or some light armor. It's not much, but it's enough to get you moving, or at least keep you alive through the first few firefights. But the galaxy has a way of demanding more than you can afford. If you want better gear or additional credits, you can take on extra obligation, a unique system at Edge of the Empire that adds real depth to your story. Obligation represents the weight of your past, debts, duties, or promises that still bind you. It could be a financial debt to a Hutt crime lord, an oath you swore to a fallen comrade, or a bounty placed on your head for a job gone wrong. Whatever it is, it ties you to the galaxy and gives the game master story to fuel to weave into every session. There's a trade-off. The more obligation you take, the better your starting resources, but the greater the chance that your past catches up with you during gameplay. When your obligation is triggered, it can mean sleepless nights, unwanted attention, or a mission complicated by your own reputation. So choose carefully. Are you the seasoned outlaw always one step ahead of collectors, the exiled burdened by guilt and memory, or the idealist chasing a dream that's slowly slipping away? Your obligation doesn't just define your starting position. It defines the galaxy expects of you and what you still owe it. At last, it's time for the final and most important step: turning your numbers into a living, breathing character. Give your creation a name, a background, and a motivation, the heartbeat of who they are. This is where mechanics meet meaning, where your dice rolls begin to tell a personal story. Start with the basics. Where did they grow up? How did they learn their trade? Who did they trust, and who do they fear? Then dig a little deeper. What brought them to the edge of the empire? The chaotic space where civilization fades and survival depends on wit, will, or luck. Are they running from something, searching for someone, or simply trying to carve out a life under the shadow of a great power? Your character's motivation is what pushes them forward when credits run out or blasters jam. It could be ambition to become the best pilot in the Outer Rim, or redemption to atone for a mistake that haunts them, or even greed, because in the end, the galaxy rewards those who take risks. Don't be afraid to embrace flaws or contradictions. They make it for richer stories. Maybe you're a fearless explorer secretly fearing the dark, or you're a charming diplomat who hides a deep resentment. In Edge of the Empire, it's often your weaknesses that make you unforgettable. Once you've completed your background and motivation, step back and look at what you've made. A being with history, purpose, and will to survive among smugglers, syndicates, and spice traders. The dice will guide their fate, but the story begins with you. And there you have it. Your very first Edge of the Empire character, ready to step into a galaxy of danger, intrigue, and endless possibilities. From a first few simple choices, your species, your career, and the burdens you carry. You've built more than a collection of numbers, you've created a story waiting to unfold. Each die you roll will echo with the weight of your obligation, the pull of your motivation, and the promise of the credits that will always seem just out of reach. And every decision to help a stranger, to take a job, to betray a partner, becomes a thread in a greater tapestry of fate that you and your group will weave together. That's what makes Star Wars: The Edge of the Empire so special. It isn't just about blasting stormtroopers or escaping bounty hunters. It's about the choices that define who you are when the galaxy stops watching. So, gather your crew, check your blasters, charge, and prepare to write your story among smugglers, scoundrels, and outcasts, the kind of people who make the galaxy turn from its shadow's edge. If you found this guide helpful, please give it a like, subscribe for more Star Wars RPG content, and share your own character ideas in the comments below. Your stories inspire the next generation of explorers in this vast, uncharted galaxy. Until next time, fly casual, stay sharp, and never forget, the edge is where the best stories begin.